Long day after, today I have brought an interesting topic that is world's top space agency's name. Number 1 NASA. 2 CNSA, China National Space Administration. 3 ESA European Space Agency. 4 Roscosmos Russian Federal Space Agency. 5 SpaceX, private agency, if we accept SpaceX is coming 5th number. 6 Isro, Indian Space Research Organization. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. Formed, 1958. Annual budget, $24 billion. For 6 decades, NASA has led peaceful space exploration, making discoveries about Earth, other planets, solar systems, galaxies, and our universe. Since its inception, most space exploration efforts, in the US, have been led by NASA, including the Skylab space station, a partially reusable low-Earth orbital spacecraft named Space Shuttle, and the most popular human spaceflight program, the Apollo moon landing missions. We all know about NASA's moon landing missions and Mars exploration programs, but only a few have an idea about how many different things it does. NASA is composed of 4 mission directorates. Aeronautics Research for developing advanced aviation technologies, Science for studying the origin and evolution of Earth, the solar system, and the universe. Space Technology for developing space exploration technologies and space science. Human Exploration and Operation deals with the management of manned space programs, including those to the ISS, launch-related missions, space communications, and transportation. It has several affiliated research centers in different states, including the Johnson Space Center, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Goddard Space Flight Center, and Langley Research Center. A total of about 17,950 people work for this agency, and many more are employed as government contractors. To date, the agency has successfully launched 165+ manned flights and conducted numerous robotic and unmanned spaceflight programs. Over 1,000 robotic missions have been executed to explore our planet and the solar system. More than 80 are currently active science missions. Some of its greatest missions include Apollo, Hubble Space Telescope, Viking 1 probe that touched down on Mars in 1976, Chandra X-ray Observatory, Cassini-Huygens that reached Saturn in 2004. And the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 that made numerous important discoveries about Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, and reached interstellar space. NASA spends about $3 billion per annum to operate the ISS, which mainly serves as a microgravity and space environment research lab. It is also used for testing spacecraft instruments required for long-duration missions to Mars and Moon. The agency plans to continue the ISS program till 2030. 2. China National Space Administration, CNSA. Formed, 1993. Annual budget, $11 billion plus. China National Space Administration, CNSA, is responsible for planning and implementing all space missions on the national level, and signing government agreements related to space research. Unlike most other space organizations worldwide, CNSA is not involved with ISS. In fact, it has its own small space station named Tiangong. It travels in low Earth orbit between 330 and 450 kilometers above the ground, and has a mass between 95 and 100 tons, about 20% of the mass of the ISS. CNSA has developed Long March rockets, a family of expendable launch system rockets, to put its satellites into orbits. So far, this Long March series has successfully conducted 350+ launches, including Earth-Moon Transfer Orbit, Geostationary Transfer Orbit, Sun-Synchronous Orbit, and Low Earth Orbit. In 2003, after several unmanned spacecraft tests, CNSA launched its first astronaut into orbit. While doing so, China became the third nation, after the USSR and the USA, to perform human spaceflight. Since then, they have conducted many manned space missions. In 2012, a 3-astronaut crew aboard Shenzhou 9 made the first manned spacecraft docking in space, attaching it to a prototype space station Tiangong-1. To date, 16 Chinese astronauts have traveled in space. As far as unmanned mission is concerned, CNSA has achieved numerous milestones. In 2014, for instance, the agency successfully made the first soft landing on the Moon using its first robotic lunar lander and rover, named JAXA-3. It became the first space organization to land on the far side of the Moon and the second organization to land a rover on Mars. It now encourages commercial space activities, such as space tourism, led by private corporations. Such initiatives could bring cost-efficient aerospace innovations. 3. European Space Agency, ESA. Formed, 1975. Annual budget, $7.63 billion. The European Space Agency is an international organization with 22 member states. By harmonizing the intellectual and financial assets of all members, the agency can manage activities and programs far beyond the scope of any single European nation. ESA is one of the major contributors to the ISS. It has developed a science laboratory module named Columbus and an observatory module named Cupola for the ISS. The agency has also built automated transfer vehicles for ISS resupply. Each vehicle is capable of carrying 7,660 kilograms of payload. As per the latest estimates, the cost of development and maintenance of ISS is approaching $110 billion, of which ESA has committed to paying about $8.5 billion. Approximately 89% of the costs of ESA's ISS share has been contributed by Germany, 40%, France, 30%, and Italy, 19%. Since its inception, ESA has been actively involved in unmanned exploration missions to the Moon and other planets, telecommunication, developing launch vehicles, and Earth observation. The agency has its own launch system, Ariane, which has gone through multiple generations of developments over the last 4 decades. The satellites and equipment developed by ESA have visited different planets in our solar system, including Mars Express and Cassini, developed in collaboration with NASA, which has been orbiting Saturn and its moons since 2004. ESA's space probe named Rosetta took close pictures of Comet 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko and sent a lander to the surface. Its space telescope GAIA is currently mapping billions of astronomical objects with unprecedented accuracy. Other major recent projects include Venus Express, which is continuously sending data from its polar orbit around Venus, LISA Pathfinder, which is studying gravitational waves, and the James Webb Space Telescope, led by NASA, which allows researchers to view too old and too far objects. The agency currently has projects planned for Jupiter, JUICE, and Mercury, JbPralay, and others that will observe the energetic universe, Athena, and study dark matter, Euclid. They are also developing the next generation of their Galileo navigation satellite system. 4. Russian Federal Space Agency, Roscosmos. Formed, 1992. Annual budget, $1.92 billion. Roscosmos is a coordinating hub for all kinds of space activities in Russia. It conducts a variety of civilian activities, including astronaut projects and monitoring Earth, and coordinates military launches with the Defense Ministry of the Russian Federation. The new Roscosmos State Corporation is formed by merging the renationalized Russian space industry and the United Rocket and Space Corporation. However, the country's contribution to space technologies long predates these events. Between 1955 and 1965, its former Soviet space program racked up many world firsts, including the first artificial Earth satellite named Sputnik 1, the first man, Yuri Gagarin, and woman, Valentina Tereshkova, in space, Yuri Alexeyevich Gagarin, March 9, 1934 to March 27, 1968, was a Soviet pilot and cosmonaut who, aboard the first successful crewed spaceflight, became the first human to journey into outer space. Traveling on Vostok 1, Gagarin completed one orbit of Earth on April 12, 1961. By achieving this major milestone for the Soviet Union amidst the space race, he became an international celebrity and was awarded many medals and titles, including the nation's highest distinction, Hero of the Soviet Union. the first spacecraft to reach the vicinity of the Moon, Luna 1. Roscosmos was formed in a completely different era, right after the termination of the Soviet Union program. Now the agency provides launch services to other nations and performs various spacecraft missions of its own, such as GLONASS navigation satellites, telecommunications, and military satellites. Also, it is putting a small portion of resources into the International Space Station program. Roscosmos is currently working on the ExoMars mission, to find evidence of life on Mars, in collaboration with ESA. They are also developing a fully robotic lunar base, LunaGlob, which is planned to be launched in the early 2020s. 5.
Isro,
Indian Space Research Organisation.
Isro
Was previously known as the Indian National Committee for Space Research, in COSPAR, set up under Jawaharlal Nehru on the suggestions of Vikram Sarabhai in 1962, recognizing the need for space research. In COSPAR grew and became ISRO in 1969, within the Department of Atomic Energy, DAE. Vikram Sarabhai, the first chairman. ISRO's budget per year $74 million in Indian rupees, just only 613 crores.
ISRO's achievements. ISRO's first satellite named Aryabhata was launched by the Soviet Union on the 19th of April 1975. In 1979, the first test of ISRO's homegrown orbital rocket was done. It was a satellite launch vehicle 3 SLV-3. The SLV-3 was successfully launched on the 18th of July 1980. It carried the Rohini 1 satellite. It was to test components that could be used in space. Only Indian astronaut Rakesh Sharma was an Indian Air Force pilot. In 1980 for Rakesh Sharma flew to the Soyuz 7. Accompanied by two Russian cosmonauts, INSAT was launched in 1998. It included a satellite named JAXA-AEROSPACE. An Indian remote sensing satellite used for resource monitoring and management was also launched. In 1988, Chandrayaan-1, orbiter to the Moon, was in the year 2008. Chandrayaan is translated as mooncraft in Sanskrit. The evidence of water molecules present on the Moon was discovered by Chandrayaan-1 orbiter. It was the size of a refrigerator. 5 years later, ISRO successfully conducted another mission known as Mangalyaan in 2013. Mangalyaan means Mars craft in Sanskrit. In the year 2014, Mangalyaan reached Mars. India was the fourth space agency to have the spacecraft in Martian orbit. The Mars orbiter mission was completed at $74 million. ISRO developed 3 rockets named Polar Satellite Launch Medical PSLV. The Geostationary Space Launch Vehicle GSLV, and another version of GSLV being named GSLV Mark III, or LVM. Another one of their missions is Chandrayaan-2 in 2019, from an altitude of 62 miles. The lunar orbiter can map the Moon. It also contains a lander that will touch the lunar South Pole and then deploy a small rover for further research on the Moon. Recently, 2023 made a world history that as Chandrayaan-3 successfully lands on Moon's South Pole. Launch date the 14th of July 2023. Landing date the 23rd of August 2023. Now ISRO planning to launch Mangalyaan-2. First mission, the first rocket launch of India was done on the 1st of November 1963. In the fishing village of Thumba located in Trivandrum, Kerala, Aryabhata experimented with X-ray astronomy and solar physics, but it stopped functioning after a few days of being in space. Bengaluru, aka Bangalore, is where ISRO headquarters is located. The ISRO has 25 other subcenters. 3 satellite launching facilities are located in Bengaluru, Sriharikota Island, and Thiruvananthapuram. ISRO comes under one of the 5th largest space agencies in the world. The ISRO organization works for space research in India. It also manages one of the largest groups of communication satellites and remote sensing satellites that communicate to and from the Earth, future missions, to develop and design vehicles that launch rockets and provide access to space. Develop and design satellites that work well in Earth observation, communication, navigation, meteorology, and space science. INSAT program to be set up for meeting telecommunication, television broadcasting, and developmental applications. Indian remote sensing satellites. IRS to manage natural resources and monitor the environment using space-based imagery. To research and development in space science and planetary exploration. Space-based applications for societal developments.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe my channel.